Hey there, happy Monday. I have a question that was sent in to AskAmy today from Danny. So the question is about OCD. And Danny says, I've been listening to this conversation, the principles, what you share for a couple years, and I've done a course here in the UK, and I can see how this understanding works for anxiety, panic, etc., but I can't fully get it for OCD. My problem is with broken glass. I panic about people perhaps knocking over a glass or even my dog walking over some glass outside during a walk. I scan around for it even on shopping trips, and when paying for goods, I'll check that the counter is okay and doesn't have a bit of plastic or something that I might imagine is glass. If it did, I won't go to that till as I wouldn't use the product I bought as I would worry that it had touched the glass. I can clean it up, but I will wash my hands several times after. I used to throw out clothes even if I thought I had touched a crack in glass. I don't know what to do. I don't do that now, sorry, but it takes me a lot to not do this. I know the thought will eventually fade away, but it pops back up and makes me anxious again. How do I stop this so that I can be normal, whatever normal is? Or how do I see this understanding through OCD? And she says, if I thought I would benefit from your program, I would apply, but I just can't see how it works for a physical item that you can touch, and it's not just a thought. So thank you so much for sending this, Danny. I'm so glad that you're looking to get some clarification around this, because I think, as you suspect, it's not that this understanding doesn't apply to what you're going through at all. I've never found a thing yet that this understanding can't apply to or help with, but it for sure can look that way, for sure. And in fact, this is very, very common. Our things look like exceptions, like we just can't see it, and that's simply because we have the most thinking about the things that we're suffering around, right? So this whole glass thing, there's so much busy thinking in your mind around it that of course it's hardest to see there. That just makes sense. For someone else, it's something else. For someone else, it may be a panic attack. They can see, oh, I can see this everywhere else, but in the middle of a panic attack, this doesn't apply. Or it might be a habit or an addiction or a relationship issue or anything. We all have our exceptions, and none of them are actually exceptions. They're just the places where we have the most thinking and it's hardest to see clearly. And by definition, the places we have the most thinking are our issues. That's where we suffer and struggle. That's what our suffering and our struggle is. This is really important, Danny. That's what it is it's a lot of thinking. So this whole glass thing, it's only an issue for you because there's a ton of thinking that looks very real. So I want to unpack this a little bit more, though, and speak to this for you. So you say, if I thought I would benefit from your from your program, which is the Little School of Big Change, by the way, which starts in 4 weeks for the fall course, I would apply, but I just can't see how it works for a physical item that you can touch, and it's not just a thought. So this is the whole crux of this for you, Danny. I really want you to see this, that glass is not your issue. I know that's what your mind thinks about and fantasizes about and worries about and tells stories about. But whatever it is, it's like glass is just kind of this little phobia. It could be anything. And talk with others, and people have little phobias around all kinds of stuff. It's not about what it appears to be about. So this has nothing to do, and just be open to this. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to agree. Just be open to this, that this has absolutely zero to do with glass. So when you say I can't see how it works for a physical item, well, it has nothing to do with the physical item. Nothing at all. What it has to do with is the fact that your mind has decided that this particular physical item, but again, it could be anything, but your mind has picked one thing, and it's telling a lot of stories about it. It's dangerous, it'd be horrible, it's scary, I have to avoid it at all costs, all these bad things could happen. Again, it's not about the content of our thinking. It's not about the story or the subject or the target. I don't know what other synonyms I can throw in to say there, but it's not about the thing, not about the subject of our mind stories or the content of our mind stories. It's about the fact that a mind is telling a story that doesn't feel like a story. So in this case for you, your mind has decided that glass is horrible and it's everywhere and it's dangerous and you have to avoid it. And that story, just the fact, not about glass, but just the fact that there's a story there that comes up and looks so real, that's thought. It's 100% thought. Whether there's glass in the world or not has absolutely no relevance here. What you're afraid of is a scary story. And that scary story is made 100% of creative imagination, really. Like, it's creative thought. It's a story. Now, people sometimes kind of say, like, well, it's true though. There really could be broken glass, and my dog really could step in it, or it really could get on me. But it being a possibility doesn't create this kind of fear and this experience. It's true for all of us, and a lot of people don't worry about glass. Even if it happens, you could say, yeah, but it's not just a could happen. It actually happened once, and I got glass stuck in me, and I had to go to the doctor, and there was an infection. Still, still, we can be like, all kinds of things can happen in life. You wouldn't be feeling the glass. There would be some glass there, but you wouldn't be feeling the glass. Your mind would be narrating the whole experience. And again, for some people, it could be the scariest, worst thing they've ever been through, just because their mind says it, not because of anything objective. For other people, it could be no big deal. It could be a minor inconvenience. It could be like, oh, I can't believe I stepped in glass. Let me get this taken care of. So again, I just want you to see this has nothing to do with glass. We could substitute anything in. We could substitute a million people in here. Everyone's going to have a different experience of all these different physical objects, because it's not about the object. What you're afraid of, what we're all afraid of, is the stories our mind tells and how real they feel. And when we think the story is real, we suffer. Now, you might, or other people listening might be saying, okay, I know the story's not real. I know this is ridiculous. And that's what almost everyone with OCD or a phobia knows. Like, we know, we know better, right? But, and that's true, and that's great that we know better on some level. And this is just where the opportunity is. I don't know how else to say it. Like, this is just where the growth is. This is where we get to really say, okay, it's not a black or white thing. I know it's thought or I don't know it's thought. Our knowing doesn't do much for us. Anybody can know that you're afraid of thought. It's really exploring this, really seeing how a mind is constantly creating our realities, really getting curious about that. And that's where a program like my school, but anything, and it just being in this conversation, that's where that helps, because it's not that we're just here to teach you something you don't already know. Pretty much everyone can learn what there is to learn teaching wise in 5 minutes. It's about spending some time exploring this and saying, wow, isn't it amazing how human minds just create stuff, stories, emotion, feeling, fear, all of it, and it feels so real, and it looks like it's coming from physical objects out there, and it never ever is. Ever. It can't. It's all happening in our heads. There's so much in that. When we slow this down and explore it, there is so much in this to explore, so much room, so much freedom that can start to open up when we really look. And unfortunately, so many of us are kind of busy in our heads, just humans, all of us. So don't shame yourself over this. It's just all humans. We get so busy in our heads and we stay up at this high level. And we're like, oh, I know it's thought, fine. But that doesn't do anything for us. We need to take a minute, slow down, and really look. If we're still suffering over anything, there's more to see around it. There's a bigger depth, a bigger way to see, oh, look at the creative process happening here. Because I promise you, Danny, when you see it that way, this will start to lose all the hold it feels like it has on you. It's just about truly waking up to what's really going on, little by little. And a big part of that is this initial step of seeing that this has nothing to do with the physical object. So thank you so much for sending your question. I hope it's helpful. If any of you want to be in this life-changing conversation where we really slow down and explore this, whether it's around a phobia, anxiety, an unwanted habit, unwanted relationship pattern or pattern you fall into, moods, anything. There is so much like wiggle room and freedom and change that starts to open up and happen when we start to really, really explore it in a deep way. What is this? What is this human experience anyway? Like, how is it created? What is it about? How does it work? And best of all, what's there beyond it? You know, how we're so healthy with everything we need beyond this big illusory experience that we all live in. So much incredible, amazing things open up from that. So please check out the Little School of Big Change if you want to be in this conversation. It starts in just 4 weeks from today on August 30th. And listen to these videos, send your questions to me. There's so many ways to do this. So thanks so much for listening. I hope it's helpful. And I'll see you next Monday. Bye, everyone.